Another loaded show coming your way on the San Francisco 49ers report, and here's what's coming up. Should the Niners target Aaron Rodgers if his marriage with the New York Jets ends? We're also going to take your questions, open up the floor, and chop it up with the faithful. Now, I do want to give a shout out to one of our loyal viewers, Matt Miller, very active on X, and he tweeted me with this question here. Should the 49ers let Brock Purdy walk and bring in Aaron Rodgers? I personally think Rodgers' ego would clash with Kyle Shanahan's ego, but this would be interesting and would save a ton of money. This needs attention. So a couple of things with this tweet right here. Brock Purdy's still under contract for 2025 at a very affordable rate, right around $1 million. It might save you money in the long term, but if Aaron Rodgers were to continue his career, and he is looking very old as of late, he wouldn't demand the $60 million or $50 million that Brock Purdy would, but at 40 years old, given his resume, a multi-time MVP winner and a one-time Super Bowl champion, he's going to want to get compensated. So you don't have to worry about the long-term money, but there is still some short-term money at play. So Matt Miller said this, and then Matt Barrows, who covers the Niners for The Athletic, mentioned this on KNBR. The one intriguing offseason possibility is if Aaron Rodgers, a guy who the 49ers were definitely interested in the past, becomes available. But the 49ers are not as down on Brock Purdy as the public is. Also, Albert Breer went on with Colin Cowherd and said all indications that he gets are that the Niners have wanted to pay Brock Purdy and still plan on paying Brock Purdy. Now, why are people discussing this on top of the possibility of Rodgers being let go? Purdy has struggled a little bit this year. A lot of that due to circumstances that he can't control. Bad offensive line play, players in and out of the lineup at the skill position spots. Kyle Shanahan has had a down year himself. The preseason drama, the vibes weren't good with Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams. It has really been a frustrating and maddening season for everybody involved with this organization. But he struggled a little bit. And is the NFL figuring him out, and is he regressing a little bit? First 25 starts, he had a passer rating of 118. His last 15, including the playoffs, it's, I believe, right around 95. So there has been a little bit of regression. Analytically, he's still been very good, but we've seen it with our eyes. Maybe a little bit of a regression. There's also pressure on this Niners team, given how they're constructed, to win right now because they're in the Super Bowl window. And people might look at Aaron Rodgers as that elite play that you can get from that quarterback position to get you over the top. And if Purdy isn't the guy, is Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers is also from Northern California. He went to Butte Community College. He grew up rooting on the Niners. The Niners took Alex Smith over him when he was coming out of Cal. And the Niners have showed interest in him before. Not in the draft, but in making a trade for him a couple of years ago. Here's what it comes down to for me. Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old. I've been a big fan of his throughout his career, but it looks as though he's not the greatest leader. Sometimes the locker room culture can get a little bit toxic. The Green Bay Packers really wanted to move on. He's a year removed from tearing his Achilles, and this year, he hasn't been great. His completion rate, 63.5%. Usually, he's very accurate, a surgeon. He's thrown for more than 2,400 yards, 17 touchdowns, 7 picks. Those numbers aren't bad. But in Aaron Rodgers' prime, and as recently as 2021 when he won MVP, he was very mobile. He's lost that mobility because of the age, because of the Achilles. Could he be better with this mobility in 2025, another year removed from that torn Achilles? Yes, he could. But I just think that you are seeing a player start to decline a little bit. It's always difficult to gauge how good a player is for a dumpster fire organization like the Jets are. Awful owner. They fired their head coach, who was never the problem. And Nathaniel Hackett was the OC. So maybe Rodgers could go somewhere and pair up with a really good offensive mind and ball out. But I just think it's too risky. So who would you choose to be the team starting quarterback in 2025? Would it be Brock Purdy? Would it be Aaron Rodgers? Let me know down in the comment section. We'll take your questions on the other side, but let's get to our friends at Prize Picks. More than 10 million active members, billions of dollars awarded out to winners all across the nation, and right now you can win up to 100 times your money. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. You pick 2 or more players. You choose more or less on their projected stats. And it's easy and exciting daily fantasy sports. Head to prizepicks.com/CLNS. And when you use the code CLNS, you get $50 when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Some selections that we're digging going into Sunday's game against the Packers. Christian McCaffrey, more than 78.5 rushing yards. Christian Watson, less than 43.5 receiving yards. Pick more, pick less. Run your game with Prize Picks. We'll put that link down below in the show notes, and it's attached to the pinned comment of today's Niners Report. Let's get to your questions and your super chats. Big Hurt, $10. The fat lady isn't singing, but that big girl is tuning up. Kyle has to get his shit together and coach to win and not to lose. I do think that something that Kyle Shanahan can evolve with and adapt and change, it's getting a little bit more aggressive in the fourth quarter. He gets very conservative, and it's burnt him a lot. Regular season games, in the playoffs, and of course in the Super Bowl. So the Niners technically are not out of it. The fat lady isn't singing yet, but as Big Hurt said, that big old girl, she has like the song ready to go. And if the Niners lose against Green Bay, it could be Jover. Black Mask, a $10 super chat. We are not beating the shit out of opponents in the trenches like we used to. We would play Smash Mouth football. You know, I was looking at one of Brian Baldinger's tape studies of this Niners team, and he made a really good point that I've talked about here on the show. The Niners are not winning on first down enough. That is especially a problem in the red zone where the first down success rate has not been good. And when you have to play even with the sticks or behind the sticks and you're in second and long consistently, you can't live like that. Can't play like that. It's not a sustainable way to play football. And so often in the past, the Niners have been able to bully teams on first down with their run game specifically, setting up a second and medium, a second and short. And then you have second and third down to call a play that's going to allow you to move the chains. But the defense can kind of pin their ears back and eat when they know the opposing offense is in that second and long. And so that has been a problem. And the Niners usually have been able to manhandle teams in the trenches. Against Seattle, they're missing blocks. They're getting pushed back. They're looking tired. They were getting out schemed. They were getting out hustled, out physicaled. It was bad in all areas on all fronts. So Black Mask, you make a very good point right there. Adam, $2 super chat. Do you still think the Niners can win the NFC West? I do. It's hanging by a thread. I always kind of look at it this way. Like right now, the Niners are a flawed team not playing good football. The Arizona Cardinals, on the other hand, have been playing excellent football. If you just look, forget their team name, forget their history. If you just look at the team and you don't hone in on their ugly red uniforms and who they are as an organization, what they've done in the past. If you just watch them play football over the last month, they've played like one of the top teams in the NFL. Are they just going to collapse and fold? And are the Niners all of a sudden, with uncertainty at the quarterback spot, just going to completely be able to turn it around? I have my doubts. It's winnable. The Seahawks, Cardinals, and Rams have difficult schedules remaining, so too do the Niners. But the Niners are going to have to take care of business and get help from those teams. Ernesto Ojeda. George Kittle may play on Sunday against the Packers, and what percentage do you think he plays? 100%. George Kittle said that he will play on Sunday. Limited participant in practice this week, but he said he's not missing this game. Niners really missed him last week as a blocker, as a pass catcher, owning the middle of the field, in the red zone in particular. And he has just been a great weapon and security safety valve for Brock Purdy, a trustworthy guy who Purdy knows he can go to. King Martini, any update on when Greenlaw is coming back? Practice window has not been opened yet. maybe against the Chicago Bears in a couple of weeks. That seems to be the target range for when he might be able to return. I'll tell you what, the Niners have really missed him this year. Him coming back can have a profound impact on this defense. Like, hopefully the return of Christian McCaffrey can benefit this offense, although the Niners haven't yielded those returns yet with CMC returning. But Fred Warner's play over the last 5-6 weeks, it's really dropped off. The last 30 times he's been targeted, he's given up 30 catches. And so he's really had to make up for a lot of bad play around him and just subpar linebacker play at his position. He misses Greenlaw. The Niners miss Greenlaw. Hugo De Jesus. Rodgers wouldn't last 2 games with our offensive line. We need a quarterback that's mobile. Rodgers is too slow. That is also a fantastic point that I didn't make a little bit earlier. And Hugo, you were spot on. The Jets' offensive line, while better than in recent years, has not been good this year. And Rodgers can't escape or evade pressure. And with this Niners offensive line, imagine if they had Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback or a statue at quarterback. How many times has Brock Purdy made huge plays with his legs, either picking up first downs, running touchdowns like the one against Seattle? He turned the corner. He got the pylon. Nobody in the building thought that he was going to be able to turn that upfield. He did it. And then he can also move around with his feet and create to make plays with his arm downfield. Bob Smith, are the Niners in rebuild mode? Last question here. No, I don't think so. If the Niners don't make the playoffs, I don't think it's a rebuild. I think it's a retool. And you might have a difficult roster decision or decisions to make. Do you move off of Deebo Samuel? Do you move off another highly paid vet? Do you not extend George Kittle and or Fred Warner, who might be looking for some deals? I don't think it's a rebuild because I still think the Niners have talent. I just think it'll be a little bit of a retool. Be sure to subscribe to us here on the Niners Report. Niners coverage every single day, year round. We appreciate the faithful for always rocking with us.